Hello, my name's Chris, and my talk is about our journey of faith, which is something we talk about quite a lot, but it's sometimes a bit difficult to know exactly how we to set about it and how it affects each one of us individually, because we each have a journey, but some go along it very quickly, some go very slowly, some get stuck and can't move forward. We need a bit of a guide, and of course, God is the person who's going to guide us through. And we have to look into Scripture to see how we can set about it. There are all sorts of wonderful ways in which it's expressed, but one which came up the other week was in a reading from Romans chapter 12. And that is full of advice as to how to live a life of faith. But the problem is, of course, is how do we live a life of faith and do all the other things that we do as well? We're so busy. Is there any room for this? Well, yes, there is, actually. I wanted to tell you a small story of my own personal illumination. Not a spiritual one, but I got two ladies in to take a lot of clutter out of my flat. It's been accumulating there for 4 years or more. Wasn't particularly easy. It was sometimes quite traumatic having to say, oh, yeah, take it away. That's the best thing to do. But the result is a sort of feeling of liberation, which I hadn't expected and which I really, really enjoyed. I feel able to do more and I'm much happier about things. And I think there's something about that in our faith journey. You know the story in the parable of the sower about the seed which falls on good ground, but it grows up with wheat and tares and stuff like that. And when the sun gets up, it shrinks away and just has to be just dies. That resonates with me every time I hear the parable of the sower. So how do we avoid that? How do we get rid of the wheats and the tares? That's what I'm saying. Can we declutter spiritually? Well, it's quite a job. But having a guide like what I mentioned in Romans chapter 12 is quite a help. And we fundamentally need to look for God's help in doing it. We can do reading, we can do thinking, and of course we can do praying, and that praying should include a lot of listening. That listening is not just waiting for a return phone call, it's just somehow a thought comes upon you and you realize, oh yes, that's right, that's the way to do it. And then you can move on in that particular difficulty, whatever you had. So the important thing is to see everyday life in the context of God's will for us, and let the new regime which we get by uncluttering our life and getting rid of the things which stop us getting along the faith road. We stop the old things and let the new regime rule us, making us loving and giving and generous and neighborly and all sorts of good things. So I do hope that you find that same sense of liberation that I did simply by getting a lot of stuff from my flat. The question remains, what is it to do? Well, it's all there, and I might just touch into Romans chapter 12, lurking just after the Acts of the Apostles. There we are. Love must be completely sincere. Hate what is evil. Hold on to what is good. Love one another warmly as Christian brothers and sisters. And it says, share your belongings with your needy fellow Christians and open your homes to strangers. Be happy to bless those who are happy, weep with those who weep. If someone has done you wrong, do not repay him with a wrong. Never take revenge, my friends. Instead, let God's anger do it. Do not let evil defeat you. Instead, conquer evil with good. And that is an amazing thing if you can get to that stage. So give it a go. I wish you very good luck in making good progress on decluttering your faith and making good progress along the path of life, which God's has called us all to. And I hope there's some space in there as well, because that does not make it much more enjoyable. Thanks be to God.